Assalamu alaikum, beautiful people. Today we are studying biological molecules, and this is what are we doing is we are covering up the A level syllabus, okay? A levels syllabus, okay? And we're going to start off with the introduction for today's class, and we'll be covering the topics over here, which include the four main types of biological molecules, okay? Which are carbohydrates. Let me zoom in. Number one. Number two are the lipids. Number three, proteins. And number four is the nucleic acid. Okay, so these are the four main biological molecules. What else we'll be studying is we'll be studying about the monomers and the polymers. What are the monomers and what are the polymers? And the reactions, which are condensation reaction and the hydrolysis reaction, which is like the reaction which is going on in between the monomers and the polymers. Like if the body requires the monomer, the hydrolysis reaction take place, and if polymers are required, then condensation take place. So this is just a briefing of the topic, and let's go through. So let me just tell you what are the biological molecules, okay? So biological molecules are basically the building blocks of our body, okay? You can call them the building blocks of our body. Should I go with the red one? Building blocks of our body. Okay, so our body is basically made up of these things, including the water as well, because water is basically the medium in which these things are in. Okay, so you need some medium in which the things are like traveling, staying, and all that stuff. So water is basically the medium, and these are the things which are like making up our body, making up any animal's body, like making up living organism. So what are these things? These are like carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. Okay, they are also called organic compounds. Okay, why they are called the organic compounds? Because they have carbon in them. Okay, so carbon, what happens over here is the carbon atom basically combine with itself or with any other element. It just basically make a bond, which is called the covalent bond. And they like make a structure, and this structure is basically, it is different in the case of carbohydrates. It is different in the case of lipid. It's different in the case of protein. It's different. I'm just giving an example. It just makes a structure, and that small unit is called the monomer. Okay, so carbon combined with another carbon or with any other element. Okay, and they basically, what they do is like over here it is shown that carbon is making a bond with H over here, and they are like sharing electrons, and this is a very strong bond. So these are the things you should remember, that they make a strong bond and they basically share electron between them, and this bond can be a single bond or double bond. Okay, double bond. It depends on the structure. Okay, so we'll see that in the future. So carbohydrates are the one which contain like carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Lipids are the one, they also contain in carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. But when we are talking about, so you can say they only contain these. Okay. But when it comes to protein and nucleic acid, protein also contain nitrogen. And when it comes to nucleic acid, they also contain phosphorus. Okay, so this is just the basic thing, that these are the elements that can be found in a carbohydrate, lipid, protein, or nucleic acid. Okay, so let's talk about monomers and the polymers. Okay, monomers are basically the smallest unit you can find, okay, smallest unit you can find that join together to form a large structure. Okay, so many monomers basically they join together to combine and make a polymer. Okay, now we have examples over here down below. In case of carbohydrates, the monomer is called the monosaccharide. Okay, the simple sugar that you find on your table, which you call glucose, it's basically the monomer. Okay, many glucose compounds combine together and they form a polymer. Okay, so we'll see that later. Protein, in case of protein, the monomer is amino acid. Okay, amino acid is the monomer in the cases of protein, and in nucleotide, the nucleic acid. Sorry, in nucleic acid, the monomer is nucleotide. Okay, let's see what are the polymers are. Polymers are basically the large molecule made up of repeating monomers. Okay, repeating monomers. You can say like glucose plus one more glucose, and they make some polymer. Okay, so these are basically the monomers, and they basically form together to make a polymer. Okay, in carbohydrates, basic example is glycogen. Okay, you can see this is a long chain of monomer. Okay, which is combining together. This is also a long chain of monomer, which is combining together to form a large molecule, which is the polymer, which is called the glycogen in the case of carbohydrates. And when we talk about protein, we call this long molecule a polypeptide. Okay, so you can say this is a chain of polypeptide. Many polypeptide chains, like they combine together, they join together, many chains join together to form a molecule of protein. We need different type of protein. The hair consists of different type of protein, your skin consists of different type of protein, your nails consist of different type of proteins. Nucleic acid basically, the polymer of nucleic acid is polynucleotide, and you can see the normal thing is like the DNA and the RNA over here. Okay, let's see what do we have. Okay, so this is a definition over here, polymerization, a definition of polymerization, and I wrote this to tell you guys that how you should write the definition when it comes in your exam. So what you're going to do is like you're going to mention like polymerization is the, so like I'm sorry, what you're going to do over here is like you're going to make a heading, but sorry, I'm going to do it the proper way. So what you're going to do is like polymerization. Okay, so this is the question. Okay, so you don't have to give a heading, but you have to start with polymerization. You have to mention the word itself. Is the chemical process of reacting small molecules, monomers together to form large chain-like or network molecules, which are called polymers. Okay, so you have to mention the name. Okay, you have to write in the proper English. If you're giving the answer in the exam paper, you have to write the proper thing. Okay, you have to write brief, but you have to write the whole thing in brief manner. Okay, so lipids, they're made up of subunits, and subunits are not repeating units. Okay, so in lipids what happens is that one glycerol molecule combined with three fatty acid chains and they make up a lipid. So what happened over here is like, say, wow. Okay, so this is a molecule of glycerol, and it is basically combining with three fatty acid chains. Now this whole thing is basically a lipid molecule. Okay, so this is a lipid molecule. There are various types of lipid molecules we'll study later in the future. Okay, condensation and hydrolysis reaction. Condensation, what happened? Okay, condensation is basically what happening over here is the chemical process where two or more molecules combine to form a large molecule. Okay, two or more molecules of, we can say that the subunits, combining together to form a larger unit, and there is a byproduct which release and result, and which is the water molecule. Okay, so there is energy required in this reaction. Okay, why? Because covalent bond is there in the structure. Okay, so let me explain you this. What is happening over here is there is one monomer over here, okay, plus another monomer over here. Okay, they are going under the condensation reaction. Okay, so what is happening is that this bond is breaking and this bond is breaking. Okay, so this is what is this doing? It's like releasing water molecule. Okay, so then there will be a vacancy over here and a vacancy over here, so this will combine with this. Okay, so you can say this is, and then okay, so this water is formed at the end and this polymer is formed at the end, and this reaction is called the condensation reaction, and energy is involved in this one, and we mention energy like this: ATP. ATP is basically the energy molecule which is available in our body, and our body provides energy which provides some temperature to this molecule and this molecule, and like the bond are broken and then they undergo the condensation reaction. Okay, so here's the example of amino acids. The amino acids are present in our body. Okay, they are freely like roaming around in the cell. What happens is like when they are provided with correct amount of energy, ATP, okay, they undergo the reaction of condensation and their bond break and they form a polypeptide chain, and with that uh, sorry, okay, so this is basically condensation reaction. If you want these notes, you can ask me and I can give you the PDF. You can have the PDF. Okay, now we have the hydrolysis. Hydrolysis is the opposite of condensation reaction. In hydrolysis is a chemical process where water is used to break down the bond of the substance. Okay, so here the polymer is broken down into its subunits. Okay, so here the bond is broken, and say there is like a long chain of polymer, and they're like broken down. Okay, and when they're broken down, the water molecule and they're the water molecule which is like in the surrounding area, which get attached to these areas over here where the bond is broken. When the bond is broken, the water molecule go there. Okay, so then what happens is like you get the monomers, and you can see the monomers over here. One will have the OH and one will have the H, and so on and so forth. There will be many like these. Well, they both have H and OH, but they will be like fulfilling the valency. Okay, we'll see that later how this happens. The energy is released in this one. The energy is released in the atmosphere. Wait, no, in the surrounding. You can say surrounding, not the atmosphere, because everything is happening inside our body. So the energy is released, and you can see this is the polypeptide chain, and it is broken down into small pieces when water is given to it, and then they turn into small amino acids. Okay, so this is the hydrolysis reaction. Okay, and this is the reversal reaction of condensation. Both of the reactions are happening in our body when our body needs polymers, when our body needs monomers, and at different time. So this is the briefing of biological molecules. Okay, and this PDF is available with me, and if you want this PDF, you can have it, and you can want, if you want the other lectures as well, I can provide those to you as well. So that's it for today.